there's no great need to change it. I just assume
It's
we-
okay.
Well, it's about a minute. That clock is right.
Look at your phone. That's a-
Look at my phone.
My watch is 1 minute after.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I guess we're having a adjourn.
All
All right, we'll come to order, and we'll give a salute to the flag, please, in the corner. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment. It doesn't look like we have anybody want to do public comment tonight. That's probably a good thing. Approval of the consent agenda. Anybody have any issues with that? If not, I'd ask for a motion.
Also move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. Those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Approved. KCC update.
Dr. Gutierrez. For those of you that haven't met Dr. Gutierrez, he's the president of KCC. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, Joe. So I'm gonna start by I'll pass this out in a minute. And I'll stay within my 10 minutes, so I'll watch my clock and my watch. I'll start by talking about the past, how we got to this, and then the present, and also I'm going to talk about the future and how it all affects Lakeview and these rural counties, KCC and also Lakeview. So it started about 3 years ago, Charlie, I think. And I think you and I met the Oregon Solutions Project here. Where TVCC, Treasure Valley Community College, was about to pull out. They could not make the business plan work. Hire a local adjunct instructor, part-time instructor, and have 3 or 4 students. So they couldn't make that work. And your community leaders invited me to come over and see if KCC could make it work. We looked at this and we figured if this was going to work, it couldn't be the same old, same old. We had to try something different. So we tried technology. I did call the governor's office to help us with the Boswell branch campus. And that's called the Oregon Solutions Project. They came in and that's where I met you, Charlie, I believe. And anyway, as we proceeded with this, we looked at how to serve Lakeview and Lake County. And I think it was either a dinner get-together, Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe a luncheon. And then we started talking about the needs, the medical needs for Lake and Lakeview. And that's when you talked about the need for an RN program, because there was a long waiting list for HSU at the time. And then the way part of my leadership is because I get a lot of people that come and want a lot of stuff. They constantly want things. But the way I evaluate this, and I have a filter mechanism, is okay, well, yeah, that sounds pretty good, but this is what I need from you. So there's some homework to be had, and many times that's where people I never see them again, because lack of follow through, and the process takes care of itself. So then that's when I asked Charlie, I said, okay, we can probably do this. KCC has an LPN program, we don't have an RN program. It's difficult to go to the nursing boards and so on, and having an RN program is very, very expensive. It's the most expensive program our community college can have. And it is today. It is our most expensive program. So then I asked Charlie, I said, Charlie, first of all, would you consider financial assistance for this program? He looked at me and I said, also, as we go to the nursing boards, I need some of your time also. And your CEO definitely stepped up to the plate. He got right on it and he called me and said, I think we can do this. So that's when I knew that we mean business. All right, time for KCC to go to work. Hence, we went to the nursing boards, and the times you were up there, Charlie, this could not have happened without your assistance. I think 3 or 4 times you were up there in front of the nursing boards, those tough questions. Rightly so. We don't want students to be working on us that don't know what they're doing. So it's a rigorous process to be accepted to an RN program. And we were accepted. So today, as a matter of fact, starting starting this graduation, you have the first graduate with an RN program from Lakeview, Miranda Philibert. If you know her, okay, that is the first graduate from Lakeview. And I'd like to invite you, Charlie, and anybody on the board to join us as we celebrate the very first graduate from Lakeview, because this RN program could not have happened without our working together. And that's how things happen many times during this difficult budget time. So, and we also have, I believe we also have 5 coming up that are from Lakeview, because Lake does have reserved spots for the RN program. I think you have 5 coming up that have signed up for this program. So then what's next after this? I mean, we've been successful, we are going, you do have a spot. We are looking currently, and we are ready to move forward with the BSN. I think from the very beginning, Charlie, you told me this is for the BSN. Another uphill battle, but we've done it before with the RN. We can do the BSN also. So we're ready to do that as we discuss this. So if you're ready. Now that would take a lot change across the state of Oregon. There's only one program that can offer, RNs and BSN. That's the community college for the RN in OHSU. The BSN, that's only OHSU. I'm from the state of Washington, and I've been through many states, but we got a problem with competition here. I mean, I really do. I believe only having one institution offer the whole thing is not healthy. It's not the American way. Competition is good. It makes us better. And that's what I'm getting prepped to talk to our lawmakers as I go to Salem, because there needs to be a law change for having community colleges offer bachelor's degrees. And this is applied, which is the BSN. So you can see I'm already preparing my speech for this. So again, competition is a good thing. It's American way. That will make OHSU much more efficient, and it'll make the community colleges also efficient. So let me pass this out as I spend a couple of minutes talking about an update about KCC, and then I'll open up for questions. So this one. Okay. 5 minutes left.
I'll elbow you when you
Okay. I'll start with this right here, because what you do here affects your whole community, and what the community does affects you too. It's all economies of scale. So if you go to the second page, here on the second page, and it tells you what we are currently doing using synchronous technology. You have the technology here on the hospital. You also have now 4, at the ILC and one at the high school, and you have now there's one in Northlake and Paisley. And what that means again is the bottom line is efficiencies. TVCC could not make it because they were doing the old way. What we have, let me explain this. We have, for example, a faculty, a professor at the KCC campus teaching algebra. That professor may have 10, 12 students in front of them, but they have the camera, they have the screens, and they're beaming that class here to Lakeview with 3 students. Now, that will not work with just 3 students here. It doesn't work out. But now that we have 15 or 10 over there plus 3 here, okay, now it works. And then the efficiencies happen because we only pay one faculty. And I'm very fortunate because I have a lot of hardworking faculty that they learned this new technology. 4 years ago when I got there was 0 technology when it comes to distance education. Now we have this, plus we have 3 fully online degrees. It could not have happened without our faculty really rolling up their sleeves and said, give us a sense of direction and we're going to go, and they have. So that's why this works. Now matter of fact, I've had your superintendent today meet with me at 1 o'clock on campus. He said, I have an idea. He said, rural high schools sometimes don't have the economies of scale. So it means we don't have the trig faculty or the Spanish faculty. So then our students go without, like the metro areas, like Portland, because they're much larger. He said, but if we come together as superintendents with Northlake, Paisley, and us, we can make this work. He looks at me, he goes, but we need your technology. We need your permission to use it. I said, absolutely we can use it. So what he's talking about, and then he said, can you set up the meeting between us? He goes, you have those kind of, I said, absolutely, we'll set it up. And I said, I'm assuming you want to meet somewhere in the middle, like Paisley. He goes, yes. So anyway, I think what he's talking about is actually having a trig class being from North Lake to Paisley and also here. Again, the same kind of efficiencies. One teacher, now you got 3 high schools. And it does work. We proved that it does work. So anyway, so that would be coming up. And then the last thing is, this is, we're expanding at the institution, KCC. This is just a copy of it. We're about doubling our size. We didn't set out to do this when I came to the institution. We set out to serve. And these are the results of having that kind of attitude. We have grown, and we have done it efficiently. And we've done it without going to our taxpayers for a tax increase, and we've done it without raising tuition. I'm going to repeat that because doesn't happen. We've done it without a tuition increase, we've done it without going for a bond. And we've done it totally through grants, through our own efficiencies, through our own monies that we have, and through federal working together and federal grants. We're expanding, almost doubling our size. So we break ground in July. So in about a year and a half, 2 years, the institution will look much, much different than it does today. Also, I will be reporting to my board here in 2 weeks that this will be the 3rd year in a row that KCC will not be increasing tuition. Again, historic. Most institutions, higher ed, that's what they do every year. That's why we got this higher ed financial crisis of student debt. We've done it because we're very efficient, and we're good at what we do, and I got good staff, and I got good faculty. So I'm very proud to be telling the board, 3rd year in a row, no tuition increase. So with that, I think I'm right to my 10 minutes. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Where and when is Miranda going to graduate?
She's going at KCC campus, at our main commencement, June 10th.
Okay.
June 10th. I will send you, Charlie, I will send you all that information. And then what we are doing, and then this is how, because we're really dual credit at the high schools, and we started 3 years ago because we don't lower our standards. These are transfer courses and so on. But we found that research proves this, that if you don't lower your standards, most students will meet that. So before they were just doing high school credit, now they're doing college credit. It's rigorous. So what we've had 3 years ago, we had a very first student that got their high school diploma and their associate's degree at the same time. I invited the superintendent to do that. Last year was 9 of them. That's happened. Think of the efficiencies of taxpayers. Because now they're not paying twice. They're getting that dual credit around the high school. Many people thought they couldn't be done. Now we show that students will do it. Just don't lower the standards and provide some assistance. So the superintendents many times are there to hand out the high school diploma and also and I hand out the degree. Charlie, if you want to do representing the hospital, if you want to do that, you can get on stage as the students come up. But I'll give you more information as we get closer to that if you're available. June the 10th, we start right around 5:30. But again, I'll give you more information. And everybody else from the board that wants to join us for that day as she graduates and walks the stage.
Is some of the classwork being done here at the ILC?
Yes, absolutely. Some of those courses are beamed over.
Okay.
We do have very expensive, these are the mannequins, or they talk, and we have the sim mom and the dad, and then we have the sim mom, and that actually is birth. The faculty invited me here several months ago because this was almost $100,000. We got it through grants. And I said, no thanks. I'm not interested. I think they were disappointed because I didn't go. So anyway, you can see why I didn't get into the medical field. But anyway, yes, some of those courses, sometimes they're trucked over here for these students, and sometimes our students go over there. The clinical sites are in various hospitals. Some are here, some are at Klamath Falls. I think I sent you an email telling you about that today, Charlie. So as we expand, we're even looking possibly the Burns area for more clinical sites as this program is, especially if we proceed with the BSN. So,
What interaction do you have with OIT?
very good interaction. Many people think, even sometimes people in the community they think that OIT has the RN or the BSN. It's not. They house, OSSU rents the space there. So very good relationship with OIT. Matter of fact, they're looking for a new president, and the board asked me to be on the search committee. We really are pushing for no loss of credit. We work really hard for that. That's right, because and that's, and I'm going to be very blunt here, that's a dirty little secret in higher ed. Students work really hard to get their degree, and then they transfer, and then a professor, a chair somewhere, it makes a decision with what courses to transfer or not. That to me is a social injustice, especially with students with the debt that they have. So we have told some universities, you want our students, no loss of credit. So when we say 4 years, we mean 4 years. And I have to say that SOU has really stepped it up. We have the most articulated programs with Southern Oregon University Ashland. They're beaming our courses from Ashland to ours, and we have some with OIT. OIT is a little bit more difficult in defense of them because they're the Polytech University, a little bit more difficult. So we have 24 bachelor's degree programs with SOU with no loss of credit. I'd heard of it. The closest one is Chemeketa Community College, and think Western, they have 4 or 5. Because they wanted our students as a feeder plan. I said that. You want them? No loss of credit. So there's a president there that he's a change agent. He went to work. It's not easy working with faculty that are entrenched and they want to have it their own way. It does help that there is some financial issues at some of the regional universities. So anyway, so we have a very strong relationship with OIT, but even more with SOU. Again, we use the technology too to beam our courses back and forth. We're also working with K-12, and that means that minimal developmental education. Many times what happens when a student transfers from high school and they're not academically prepared, they come to us and they're taking some similar courses. They're not college level. So the taxpayer pays twice. Pays at the high school and they pay over at the community college. And so for the first time, we had 300 teachers last year all the way from Ashland, actually. We met at our campus, and we said, we need to articulate. We cannot have this no more. So whenever your seniors, your juniors, your sophomores need to be academically prepared. So when they come and ready for our algebra, they are academically prepared, and they're ready to take the algebra. That means you gotta start teaching this stuff, the sophomore, junior. No more dead year, senior year. You cannot have that anymore. Our economies have changed across the United States. You've got to have something after high school, or else really you're going to be poor. And that's not the way it used to be for a lot of us. But that has changed now. So I said that to the local graduating class at KU last year. I said, if you don't continue your education, you're going to be poor. Just looked at me like, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you the data. Some of the parents came to me and said, they told me, I wish they would have heard this when they were sophomores. But anyway, so, any more questions about our relationship and so on? Good things are happening in our counties and Lake, but it could not happen with us working together. Okay? That's why this is happening. Good, strong partnerships, now all the way to North Lake. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we'll stay in touch. I'll send you the information on the graduation. So if you'll excuse me, I have a long drive back.
Thank you for coming.
Nice you.
It'll be beautiful.
Okay.
There's a flood watch.
Okay, it was pretty bad yesterday.
Yeah, it's supposed to be worse tonight.
Yeah.
Watch out for the deer.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Night.
Well, that's very interesting.
Just to make sure that you understand, one of the things that we would like to have is the continuation of our support agreement. So if you recall, 3 years ago, we agreed to support KCC in its development. And so he's actually...
We essentially agreed to pay for one instructor, as I recall.
That's right, $75,000 a year. Now, we haven't actually paid that yet. He's been saying, well, I'm getting a finance manager to send me the bill. But, so we have not paid that bill to that extent. And I'm not sure we will be responsible for it because not all the costs have been incurred, but there'll be some. Just don't know what. But he is intent, he wanted to know if we would extend. So we can talk about that when I get
When you get a bill.
I get a bill and when I get a new agreement.
Yeah.
So,
But I think it's a wonderful program. Very pleased you got that going.
Particularly if he's extending it to the high schools here and Paisley and North Lake.
oh, it has lots of really good, strong benefits for our community. And I think that the fact that you did step up to help support getting the program, the RN program, off the ground, helped to stabilize their interest in our town. It, like all startups, has its fits and spurts. And it's not perfect, but we're moving forward.
All right, let's move on to Cheryl. And a financial report.
Okay. Our patient counts for March, total acute was 413, our average is 463, so we're about roughly 10% below average under acute for the month. When we moved down to ancillaries, we actually had a fairly close to average month in most of these places, except in rehab, we had 775 patients. You look at this growth from 2015 to our average this year to that 775. Holy cow, that's a lot of patients. I think we slowed down a little bit in April, so they're being able to breathe. We had a very big revenue month. Even though our patient count was down a touch month to month, and it's driven a bit by our use swing beds. We've really had quite a few swing beds for many days, so that's a good revenue driver for us. Our average monthly revenue is now at $2.389 million. For the month of March, our revenue was $2.6 million gross charges. That was the biggest month we've ever had. We're up a couple hundred, this revenue's growing a couple hundred month per month, or average. We see, when you look at that departmental income statement, you see a big drop in the surgical and anesthesia and central supply, and it's really, we're strong across the board, but we've traded, I think, a large extent, we're getting that clinic revenue shoring up that hole. So that's a good thing. Our days in AR is up again after 2 really big revenue months. It is at 82 now, it's up from 77 last month. We continue to focus on our collections of AR. Naturally, this is a nice bit of our graph right here, where our collections are an average of 1.8 million. We collected 1.98 million in March. Our days cash on hand actually dropped. It went from 170 something to 152. And if you read the financial statements that I sent you, you'll know. We had 2 things affected this. One of them was the $450,000 note payment we made for our annual note payment on the USDA loan. And also, AP was just our regular old accounts payable was very high at the end of February. And really it was just that a lot of those bills, instead of being paid on February 28th, were paid on March 3rd or 4th. It just moved them out. So it looks like we were saving up AP, but we weren't. It just moved it. So our cash went down, but our AP also went down radically. So, all right. And I would expect that the last few months that our collections will continue to be good in the next few months. Our revenue was above budget. With the surgical revenue being what it is, that's been not happening for us this year. So that was a very good thing this month. Our expenses, both in our month and our year-to-date, we continue to see, the effects of the wages are down because we did not hire the doctors we planned or the staff. We also had, this number is above what we're looking for, in part because of temp wages, and another big driver is the pharmaceutical costs, which have really skyrocketed this year. Our net operating income for the month was $50,000. That made it $196,000 ahead of budget. Year to date, we are now at $420,000, and we are $340,000 ahead of budget today. Questions on that? Our balance sheet, our cash is down because we paid those bills. I mean, we saw that in days cash. You see that the accounts of current liabilities went from 3.6 to 2.7, so that's a big drop right there. That's where your cash went. Otherwise, our AR is up a bit, again, based on really big revenue month, sales month. Otherwise, nothing major. Okay, I wanted to go ahead and just throw the DME update in here quickly, because I know that we're interested, but it was a really great month for the DME progress. We got the car, we did the modifications we need to it, so it's ready to begin work. We actually found a really good spot in the middle of town that I think is going to work out for us really well. We're negotiating what we're going to pay for rent right now. We're hoping we can move in by June 15. We've got all of our policies and procedures written. All of our vendor contracts are in place. We are now working on a consumer finance partner, so really somebody who can help finance DME for people who need some help. We're excited to be, I hope you'll see what we have at Daily Days. Michael's very excited about DME. If you go talk to him at Daily Days, we'll hear everything you want to know about DME. And another really happy point is we did sign a contract with Modoc Steel for the oxygen. So it's great that we're going to be able to keep working with them.
I think it's important to note that where there's national contracts, and sometimes the rates are very, very aggressive. And wherever possible, we try to keep relationships with local contractors and local vendors. And here's an example of where we work out an arrangement to keep using a local vendor and still get significant benefit.
We might have gotten a slightly better pricing with a big national firm, but probably won't get the service.
So shoulders or is retail space?
Where is it?
We haven't signed the agreement
Do you
yet.
have, okay.
We will be able to report that shortly.
Oh, okay, so we don't know that yet.
We haven't.
Until we sign the agreement,
Yeah.
I'd rather not say.
We're dickering over rent.
Pardon me?
Trying to get the rent down. Okay, questions about Lake Health District? Okay. Moving on to Lakeview Gardens. Wow, look at this. This trend is pretty amazing, and this was a big month. That equates to, I think about three extra people on average in beds down there. So they are staying very busy.
I noticed you had one that wasn't intermediate, but
Where did you see that?
one of your reports,
Oh,
stat report,
Was it skilled?
yeah.
the scale.
I think they might have shipped that individual out to Clement
No.
Falls, no?
Yeah, that might be, but I was gonna maybe have Larry talk about the different types of patients? Is that something you want to talk about?
That we have right now.
Yeah.
All of our residents right now are long-term care. I don't believe we have any skilled residents.
But once in a while we do.
Once in a while we do, yes.
Yeah.
Is that just overflow? Because we don't have room?
Want to explain what skilled is?
Skilled,
Sometimes it is. Sorry.
skilled residents or patients come in when they need certain like rehabilitation in order for them to recoup and then go home. That's the ultimate goal for a skilled resident. And then the long-term care, this is going to be their home for a while, or the rest of their days.
Mm.
And
Yeah. But sometimes those skilled patients can be on the acute floor, or they can be in long-term care.
yes,
Yeah.
Now,
So,
what's the main difference between a swing bed and the scale?
well, the swing bed is on the acute floor.
I understand,
Right.
the location is different, but I mean, isn't
The rates?
Service is essentially the
The
same.
same.
So the swing bed program is a special dispensation prepared by Medicare for critical access hospitals to accommodate skilled or long-term care patients that need to be in the hospital up to 99 days, or, well, it's 100 days, but technically 99. And they can stay in a critical access hospital for that time, for that diagnosis.
Can you
In
come
lieu of
back,
going to a long-term care facility.
can they come back for a different diagnosis for another 99 days?
Yes.
Okay.
And we often don't have the capacity in long-term care, the staff to take care of them. I mean, something that would be,
I just was wondering if we overflowed acute care.
sometimes we do, yeah. And, yeah, if we can. It's a juggling act, I think, with, what rooms and who's in where and where we have.
If you have sex issues, male and female, if you have people that can only be in
Want to be in a single room.
in a single room, or, so there's a variety of different issues. And of course, skill needs, if we have the right kind of staff. But so all of those play into where people are placed.
Okay, so our monthly revenue average is now 155,000, we're above last year's. Naturally, revenue increases with patient days. Lakeview Gardens showed a profit of 35,000 for the month because they had a very large revenue month also. Year to date, they're at a loss of 117,000. Last year at this time, they were at a loss of 114,000, although I didn't actually put that on here because it's not an apples to apples comparison, because last year at this time, that period of time was just December through March, and now we're talking July through March. So it's kind of maybe a little better than last year. Balance sheet, no real change. The AR is really where it should be given our revenue level. And we build up cash and make payments of roughly 200,000 to Lakeview District. Questions on Lakeview Gardens? Goose Lake Medical had revenue $48,000 for the month. It's there. When we do not have an FNP working down there, it is very difficult to generate enough revenue. It's impossible to generate enough revenue. We have been calling the state of California almost weekly to try to follow up on Tony's license. And really their response is fairly consistently, you'll just have to wait till you get it. It's in the works somewhere and there's nothing we can tell you. So we kind of keep calling to see what we can. So I have no idea how close we are to having that license yet. They asked for some additional information, so I hope that means they're working on it, but I can't make any promises. I posted a lot of expenses this month. I finally, we had some trouble getting all the bills out from the temporary FMP, so I finally got all those on the books and posted some old vacation time that Stevens had submitted finally. So we had a bad month and we are now at a loss of $116,000 on the year.
Yeah, this month, there was about 20,000 more materials and services than it had been averaging.
Yeah,
What's the cause of that?
the FMP expenses, part of those I was paying. We hired that temporary FMP earlier in the year. Do you remember that?
And
And
that's
she
all
worked-
in the materials.
Yeah, that, because we pay that as a service, because she wasn't really an employee. Yeah. So, I was gonna say something else, but I forgot what it was. I would think that the only, one bright spot I could say about Goose Lake is we should start getting some cash from Medicare any day now, and that will be a good thing. Several $100,000.
How much?
Several $100,000. 500,000? That's what I'm thinking, yeah,
We're waiting on that.
yeah. that would
That's
be
what's
lovely.
sitting in receivables right now.
Right.
Yes, Medicare mostly, so.
And that was related to the transfer from Dr. Stevens to Dr. Gilbertson.
Cost report issues.
And cost report issue.
Yeah. So, questions on that?
No.
Okay. Got an auditor update.
Oh, yes, we have been working with Whitley, and we're very excited to say that we're signing our letter of, what is that called? Acceptance. No.
Stamped.
It's the engagement letter.
Thank you, engagement letter.
Oh, okay.
You're supposed to come up with that, don't you? They've been really great to work with so far. They started work on the interim cost report. They got we really didn't have time to do the cost report because of the time that it took the transition, so we did a kind of what you do is a questionnaire, basically, that you fill out. So they did that and got our report done on time, so we won't be raising any flags with CMS and get cut off again. And we had a good conversation today with him about future plans, and I think it's going well. So I'm very happy to be working with him.
Where's their home base, Sheriff?
Well, they have the big office in Spokane and a big office in Minneapolis.
They're basically based out of Minneapolis, and they have some regional offices. Again, remember, this is the firm that purchased the Michael Bell business. And so that really expanded Whitley's involvement in the Pacific Northwest. And they picked up different clients. But we'll be predominantly supported. That's not true. They'll have some of the experts out of Spokane and some will come out of Minneapolis, depending on their specialty.
But the guy we're working with the most right now is in Spokane, and he's been very responsive. It's nice to have somebody in your same time zone,
Yes.
you know? Yeah.
Any other questions for Cheryl? If not, we'll move on to personnel. Leslie's going to talk about that.
Yes. We have an acute, I don't know what she's an LPN? Sorry, Carla, either one of you know?
She's an RN working on it.
She is an RN. All right, so we have, apologies, this is my first one. So we have Terry Carlin, and she's working in an acute, and she's an RN. She's going in for her BSN and her MSN. It's the exact same program that Amanda was approved to do, apparently last quarter. Talked with Teresa. Teresa said that she is exceptional and that she wholeheartedly supports the Patricia Gainey Fund helping out with the tuition assistance. So she is actually already registered and she started her courses April 1st. The net tuition, not sort of The other fees included is $3,087.50. And so she is looking for approval in order to begin, or to receive funds from Patricia Gainey. She's also signed the promissory note. We've talked a bit about moving forward and how the program works. I've also talked with Teresa on another note that we'd like to visit having the RNs invest a little bit of their monetary funds as an incentive when it comes to the program. And Terry Carlin has agreed to a continuation of employment for 3 years, receiving these funds as well. What information am I missing that I'm supposed to provide?
Employment for 3 years upon receiving a degree.
Correct,
It's forgiven after 3 years.
correct.
And you're talking about a $3,000 commitment?
For this term,
For this
about
term?
$3,100, yes.
Okay, and what's our commitment beyond that?
Around $15,000 for completion for the total program. But as I said, Teresa Squires and I have had talked, and we'd like to put some parameters around the fund as we move forward, as we get more nurses that are interested in the program, that we'd like to put some parameters that they have a vested interest with some of their funds involved as well. So we're going to put a small committee together to address those guidelines we'd like to put in place with eventually board approval.
Excellent.
That's probably a good consideration, considering the fact that this KCC program seems to be growing and we could have more applicants.
Yes, yes, and so we'd like to maintain that fund so that it's available. I haven't looked into the fund to see the allocation and, you know, where we are with the funds, or, you know, how the monies are dispersed if it's done on an interest-only basis. So I don't know all those details, but moving forward, I'd like to look into those details so we can protect that asset and have it available as we grow, because, you know, we're growing with our assisted living, and, you know, we're acquiring other businesses, and I think that it would be very, very wise of us to preserve what's in there, and to also have our employees have a vested interest in their education. Because you're more likely to get an A if your dollars are involved. You know, I know as an MBA student, as an adult, I was very interested in getting extremely good grades because it was my money.
If I could just jump in.
Yes, please.
It was brought to me by Dave,
Okay.
that she also has received funds from the Collins McDonald program.
Okay, that's what that was in there.
That's just what
She's
that's what they
been
put in there.
awarded the grant.
Good.
So
The amount's equal to the grant, almost what that says.
And do you have the,
It's
what are
8,200.
8,200? Okay, I apologize, I didn't have that number in here, that wasn't in my documentation, but thank you.
Leslie,
The
in
current
the
amount.
past, we've had this
That's what it is.
emailed to us ahead of the board meeting, so we kind of get more familiar with it.
Okay,
So if you can kind of work in that
I will
direction,
do that.
appreciate it.
absolutely, thank you, I appreciate that.
I will need a motion to approve this.
Although we, oh,
Don't argue. Who's second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Yes, and any education you can give me as to what the precedent has been in the practice in the past, I am so welcome that
We just
information.
we want to let you flounder a little.
No, don't do that, too old, I'm too old.
I
It's
think
not allowed.
There's about 95 or 97,000 in that fund right now.
Okay.
And that will, if you get 4 or 5 people, that will just.
Well, yeah, and
pretty
that's kind of a concern, you know, looking into the future, you know, you've got to forward think that we're growing, we're going to have an additional pool of individuals that will want to tap into those funds.
So Chuck, does that fund grow?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
It's
So-
going the other way. However,
That's
we're
okay, it's
looking
being used
community
for its
benefit,
purpose.
You know,
We just have to look
start
forward. If we
money.
use it up,
Right.
you know, in the next couple of years, then we lose this asset, so we have to look at what's going to replace it.
We can arrange to take some of our community benefit that we're required to provide and start pumping some money into that as needed.
Well, and I don't know the legal parameters around the fund, so I would like to do some research on that.
I don't need it.
Talk to legal counsel.
So.
We can do that.
What did you say?
That's an
Sorry.
interesting concept. We can do that.
But I'd like
Take our
to
community
look into the
benefit
fund and do
money.
some research and talk to legal counsel to see what the parameters are so that the funds can be invested in any form to generate additional monies. And you might know that already.
We have our legal counsel.
You might know that.
So,
You got the wrong one. He wasn't here when it was introduced.
well, we do have legal counsel, maybe just not the right, well.
I can get the answer, but I don't have it.
That works. That's my standard response. I don't know if I know.
Yeah.
Chuck, you asked if something be received in advance, and I had 12 pages on the Jersey Meany Fund.
Oh, you did? I missed it
Well,
then.
I had that too, but I didn't have the whole application.
didn't
I was
have
gonna say, I don't think that I made that available to Jeff.
It had the course breakdown, it had
Oh.
her signature, it had, yeah.
Oh, I think.
How did you get that?
What you sent me, I sent them.
One of
Oh.
the things that we have to, please bear with, we did have some computer issues.
Yeah.
And so not everyone got all of the material that we sent out, and there was some delay, that's one of the reasons why. So sorry if you didn't get
Anyway,
that.
I'm pleased that you're on top of that, and I'm pleased that you're really gonna think about the best way to administer it. Appreciate it. Administrator in training, Larry, have you got something you want to tell us?
If I could jump in before Larry starts, as you know, I think we've talked about Larry joining us. He's been here now for a little bit. He'll tell a little bit about what he's going to be doing. But we're very excited. So, Larry, please.
The administrative training program is a 6 to 18 month program to go through each department in the long-term care facilities to better understand the ins and outs of each department. And I have a list of all the different departments and the breakdowns, and I could pass this around if you guys are interested in seeing it. I didn't make enough copies for everyone, so I apologize. But it's just a list of all the things I'll be going through in each department. And it's a total of 960 hours. So I have to keep track of all of that, and I have weekly meetings with Charlie to go over my training in each department to make sure that I'm fully understanding everything that I need to in order to become and pass the state and federal exams at the end of that 6-month period.
Would you enlighten me a little bit, because I'm not familiar with the departmental breakdown in long-term care?
Okay. So I'm starting out in nursing services right now. So I've been reading up on the federal, state, and local standards and regulations, which are the OARs. So they kind of lay out a blueprint of all the laws and regulations that a long-term care facility needs to follow in order to stay in compliance with the state. And then there's principles of restorative nursing, rehabilitation, understanding Medicare and Medicaid documentation. And then there's many more. There's about 15 total things under the nursing category. Social services and activities, dietary services, resident care and quality of life. Oh, that's just continued, so that's also part of social services. Pharmacy services, quality assurance, and medical records. And then there's a human resources component, and there are about 21 different subsections in there. Criminal background checks, new employee orientations, federal, state, and local labor and civil rights laws. There's a finance component, physical environment and atmosphere. So I'll be with maintenance and housekeeping, learning those departments. Leadership and management. I foresee myself spending a lot of time with Charlie going through this department here. And those are all the different departments I'll be going through.
Thank you. I never look at it that way.
We'll pass it.
Running another hospital, what it amounts to.
Yeah.
And
One of the things that we'll also include in Larry's, in the training program is an opportunity to see some of other facilities. He has come from a system long-term care facility, so he has some experience there. But there'll be other types of post-acute care services. There'll be other kind of facilities to look at. So try to help him get a good rounded out experience. It's also recommended that he spend a couple of days in Salem, meeting with some of the people at the state level to understand more about some of the rules and regulations and how they get there. So it's a pretty comprehensive program. If you may, for those of you that weren't aware of this, we have 2 administrators in training in the past. One was Ken Landau, and the other is Patty, formerly Patty Baker. So they did not complete their program, but they were in the program.
Now, I would assume that he would also be in charge of the assistant levy, is that right?
One of the things that I anticipate, provided Larry does well, is, which I fully expect he will, is that in order to become an assisted living manager or administrator, you have to go through a week-long course and special training, and then he passed that test. So all of this is predicated on his time, meeting all the requirements there in all the different departments, and then passing the test. It has to do that for both the long-term care as well as for the assisted living. So I'm hopeful that he will be able to be the administrator of both facilities.
And does he have duties besides learning?
As many as we give him.
You know what, he's actually been involved in disciplinary investigations already, so yes, he does.
This is a hands-on learning opportunity, and especially with our new construction project going on, it's going to have.
And a little bit of background on myself, I was a CNA for about 4 to 4.5 years. And I was, right out of college, I got a human resources director position for a long-term care facility. And I was there for right around a year. So I have that kind of experience. So
We're excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
That's
So
it.
thank
We
you for
hope
the
you like it,
opportunity.
and we hope you stay.
That's the plan.
We'll give you a hammer and a shovel when you get started on construction too.
I'm glad you didn't offer that to me.
If I can help in any way, let me know.
Have you got family here?
I do not. I grew up in Sweet Home, and then I went to Oregon State University.
Oh,
You're not
I'm sorry.
That's good.
That's a good
because
thing.
I've
Did you go to U of O?
met a bunch of these younger nurses that are looking for some way to socialize and meet people.
No, he's taken.
He's
He's taken.
Oh, darn.
We're trying to get her to come here.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Medical staff report. Dr. Hussey's not
Dr.
here.
Hussey was not able to be here tonight, and since this was kind of an odd month for me, I was actually out for a week and a half. They didn't have their medical staff meeting in the week that I was out, so we don't have a report.
Oh, thank you. Construction update, Charlie.
Lots of things going on. We think we have it now isolated to one waiver issue that, as of late this afternoon, and Melinda and I have finished our response. We'll get that into the state tomorrow morning, and we should be approved. We have our building permits from the county, so that's all been approved. We paid our fees. When we saw the fees and I choked, I told.
I thought I was gonna have to call somebody at the ER. But I couldn't because I was speechless.
Poor Charlie's had several of those moments lately.
Woo! Over $44,000.
Yeah.
What Mark Rossi said is that's a third of what it is in Bend.
Wow.
I still don't feel any better, Charlie.
I'm trying. So we are working diligently on the groundbreaking ceremony and date, so we hope to have that sorted out pretty quickly. I thought we were going to have a trailer here. Yes,
It's here.
It is now.
It's on Main Street, yeah.
That's on Main?
It's on the street.
Yeah. Not on the lot yet.
Go on the back way.
Oh.
So, trailers, it's getting ready to get installed. Let's see. So we're virtually ready to go. In terms of our financing with Washington Federal, we talked in the past about having an advisor to help us. We've gotten a second quote, and the quote came back different. So we had two different types of quotes, which is frustrating. Even though we were quite clear on what we asked for, what they came. One firm said, we'd like to advise you on what your financing arrangements would be and how you would structure that. And the other firm said, we would be happy to advise you, but the way we would collect our fee is if you did private placement, and then we would take a percentage of that placement. Well, you can imagine what they would want to do, which is to encourage us to borrow a lot of money. So it's not exactly what we're asking. So we're trying to get one, if not two, other given time comparables so that we come back, because we thought we would have a good comparison from 3 companies. And that didn't work out yet. So we're moving on getting that resolved. Okay. The only other thing that I can tell you that I received today is we received a denial from the White Foundation. And all they can say is it has been declined. I have contacted the greenhouse people and they haven't got an answer. They hadn't received it until I sent it. Just got it today. And I have asked for an explanation, and because of the time zone difference, I haven't got an answer. I can't tell you anymore. So that's really disappointing, really disappointing. What else can I tell you on that exciting and happy note?
Money?
Expansion?
Yeah.
Since our meeting on Tuesday, I have not resolved exactly which architect. So I don't have all have called me, I just have not gotten the final number. So I will be able to have that for you tomorrow, and I will send it out to you. So, as you know, we talked about the different 4 companies, we had different options, but until we get the final resolution per your instructions, I don't have that right this minute.
Well, on a happy note, how about an employee recognition?
It is always an exciting time to reflect on. We had several that really stood out this month. This is a person that has been with the organization for quite some time, had a variety of different roles, but her latest role is acting as a key support person for Teresa Squires, and that's Patty David. She is exceptional at keeping on track with all of the nursing staff. And this is really an important process to make sure that they keep all their records right, not only the preparing it for payroll, but also keeping Teresa, who, if you haven't noticed, is almost impossible to keep up with. If you think I'm busy, she's busier. And Patty does that being desired.
Very good.
Yeah, that's
Good.
Awesome.
She's been a great employee for years.
Out of curiosity, Charlie, how do you select these people? Are the department heads asked to submit names? Is that how you do it?
No, that's one of the, what I do is I ask everyone for suggestions, and then I look around, and I keep watching throughout the month. And I try to find people during the month that have really done some exceptional things. And we've had some difficult things that have occurred in the last month, and every month, where people really show off how valuable they are. So I look for that. So it's a combination of both. Some people, they just consistently are stellar people. Some people, they shine during that month more than anything else. So it's a combination.
So you look deep in the organization. I mean, what I mean by that is the person who's very quiet, does their job really well, sits back in X-ray, I don't know where, just to name it, just an example, but you look at everybody.
I try to the best of my ability. And I try to make sure that we are looking for people that aren't always the ones that are the flash, that are known. Because so many times that's unfair to those that aren't as noticed. And so I do try to look for that. I hope I'm finding that. Sometimes it's harder for people that work on off shifts or weekends or nights to recognize them. It's harder to find. You have to look a little closer. But I am trying to do that.
CEO report.
One of the reasons that Teresa's not getting a nursing report is because we're very fortunate to have a national expert, Kathleen Bartholomew, here, who's giving a presentation to our nurses. And it is a command performance for all of our nursing staff. Everyone has to go. And then we are making it available to others because this speaker is that widely known. The kinds of things that she's presenting on are challenges that hospitals all over are facing, and that is having teamwork, and especially within the nursing home, working well together. There have been lots and lots of times that when you see that, as you think about how as an organization we have changed just in the last 7-8 years, from where we were and where we are today, that puts a lot of stress on everyone, especially within the nursing and direct caregivers. And so this is an opportunity to give them some extra tools on working together. So we're really excited about that. We've had some, we hired a speech therapist. So we've talked about this over time. She will start mid-July. And this is going to be a venture between the hospital district and the ESD, school district. So this is really a win-win for both organizations, because it is hard to find speech therapists. And both organizations have struggled with it. So we're very excited about this individual starting. I don't have her name. Sorry.
Alicia Hernandez. She will be here July 18th.
There we go. So Alicia will be starting on July 18th. Judy and I went to a JPA meeting in Fall River Mills a couple of weeks ago. And that continues to be, while not moving as fast as we'd like, I think we're getting some headway. We are going to engage a consulting firm, it's actually Whitlam, to do a regional market analysis. Where are patients going? Where are opportunities for us to find services that we could deliver? You will recall about 2 years ago, I brought a report from Strongwater that looked at where some of our market issues are. Actually used it from 100 miles away. So it had different ways of looking at our service area. So this will look at each of the 4 hospitals and the zip codes and addresses. So that will be very helpful. We're also working on a physician organization in California. The hospitals don't have the ability to hire physicians, and what's called the corporate practice of medicine, which means the hospital can contract with a physician, but they can't employ a physician. And so how do you get around that? Forming a foundation, a physician organization. So we're looking at the possibility of utilizing an organization that we started to allow the hospitals to essentially employ a physician but work at each of the hospitals. They don't have to work at different hospitals, but it would be a better way of recruiting. It's really hard for those other organizations to recruit if you can't employ newer physicians that come out and say, I don't want to get a 1099. I don't want to have to pay my own taxes. I don't want to have to pay my own health insurance, my life insurance. I want somebody else to do all that for me. And if you can't do that, that leaves you out of that recruiting opportunity. So we're moving forward on that. We talked a little bit about the Oregon JPA that we're working on with Burns, John Day, and Hebner. They actually are making headway on it. We have provided all of them with a revised agreement similar to what we provided to hospitals in California, but it is only for Oregon. So their boards are looking at this document. But because there has been some instability amongst administration, John Day lost its administrator. There's still a little bit, hasn't all been approved. But we're working on a project anyway, even if we don't have an agreement. And NAM is working with the quality coordinator at at Burns to put together a grant application that will be submitted next Thursday. That would be a lean project for all 4 hospitals. So this is an exciting opportunity to, as Dr. Gutierrez talked about, sharing the synchronous classroom type process where we have one consultant and then work together with 4 hospitals, as well as individual presentations that having each hospital work on similar kinds of projects. And our goal is to link it between a lean project between the rural health clinic and the hospital, because each of those, us and the other 3 hospitals, have a rural health clinic, and there's coordination issues and how to improve it. So the grantor has expressed a great deal of interest in all 4 hospitals working together. So that's a positive thing for us. And it's almost $100,000. So if we get the money, that would be a great thing. We had some challenges this month. One of our problems was our sprinkler system. Between the coordination between the legacy facility and the new facility became a problem. What that required is, so we have 2 different types. If an alarm goes off, we have sound, and we have the flashing or annunciators. If they're not coordinated, or you can't hear them, we have a problem. So we had to have, for 5 days, an employee, one of the maintenance crew, every 15 minutes, checking the fire system. That was a mess. We got it fixed. We're having to replace some of the legacy system equipment. So that was the resolution. And then I told you we had some computer issues. Reminds me very much that the possibility of somebody trying to breach our data, we may need to buy the insurance to protect ourselves against should there be a data breach. In both cases, the challenges that we had nothing to do with our CPSI, T-System, eClinical, Athena, or point-and-click care, EMR systems. It was the other systems that we have. But they're important things for us to consider. Do you have any questions of me?
Well, in that case, if we have no other questions for open session, we'll take a 10-minute recess and we'll come back and we'll go into the executive session. Under ORS 192.662, 2, A.